Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Preeti Kaur. Coming up in the next 30 minutes, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi to share his thoughts in the 114th episode of his monthly radio program Mann Ki Baat on Sunday at 11 a.m. IST. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar gives out a stern message to Pakistan at the UNGA, says its actions will certainly have consequences. External Affairs Minister also talks about India's focus on Global South, calls for urgent solution to Ukraine and Gaza conflict. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu calls killing of Hezbollah leader a historic turning point. Iran calls for emergency UN Security Council meeting. Heavy rains wreak havoc in Nepal. At least 59 people dead, 44 people missing in devastating floods and landslides. Since SpaceX launches mission to bring back 2 astronauts stranded on the International Space Station since June. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will share his thoughts with the people of the country and abroad in the Mann Ki Baat program at 11 a.m. on Sunday. It will be the 114th episode of the monthly radio program. It will also be the 4th episode after Prime Minister Modi assumed charge as the Prime Minister for the 3rd consecutive time. The program will be broadcast on the entire network of Akashvani and Doordarshan. It will also be live streamed on the YouTube channels of AIR News, DD News, DD India, PMO and Information and Broadcasting Ministry. India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar, speaking at the 79th session of the UN General Assembly on Saturday, took a jibe at Pakistan over terrorism that it harbors, saying the country is making a conscious choice of being left behind in the global order due to its karma.
Many countries get left behind due to circumstances beyond their control. But some make conscious choices with disastrous consequences. A premier example is our neighbor, Pakistan. Unfortunately, their misdeeds affect others as well, especially the neighborhood. When this polity instills such fanaticism among its people, its GDP can only be measured in terms of radicalization and its exports in the form of terrorism. Today, we see the ills it sought to visit on others consume its own society. It can't blame the world. This is only karma. Madam President, a dysfunctional nation coveting the lands of others must be exposed and must be countered. We heard some bizarre assertions from it at this very forum yesterday. So let me make India's position perfectly clear. Pakistan's cross-border terrorism policy will never succeed, and it can have no expectation of impunity. On the contrary, actions will certainly have consequences.
In a powerful speech, Dr. S. Jaishankar said that the issue to be resolved between the two countries is only the vacation of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir by Islamabad and the abandonment of its long-standing attachment to terrorism.
The issue to be resolved between us is now only the vacation of illegally occupied Indian territory by Pakistan, and of course, the abandonment of Pakistan's long-standing attachment to terrorism.
Amid the ongoing Ukraine and Gaza conflicts, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar at the UNGA cautioned that the world cannot be fatalistic about the continuation of violence on a large scale, asserting that the international community seeks urgent solutions and its sentiments must be acknowledged and acted upon.
The world cannot be fatalistic about the continuation of violence on a large scale, no more than be impervious to its broader consequences. Whether it is the war in Ukraine or the conflict in Gaza, the international community seeks urgent solutions. These sentiments must be acknowledged and acted upon.
The minister also urged all the UN members to send out a clear message that no one should be left behind.
Let us therefore send out a clear message from this UNGA session. We are determined not to be left behind. By coming together, sharing experiences, pooling resources, and strengthening our resolve, we can change the world for the better.
On the sidelines of the 79th session of the UN General Assembly, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar met with his Mexican counterpart Alicia Bárcena. The minister also met Algeria's Foreign Minister Ahmed Attaf. Both the leaders committed on taking forward the long-standing partnership. They also discussed ways for advancing multilateral cooperation. External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar also participated in the launch of Pan IIT Alumni Foundation in New York, where he discussed developing a technology and manufacturing ecosystem in India. He also lauded the efforts and contribution of Indian diaspora in developing a Viksit Bharat. In Jammu and Kashmir, the third and final phase of assembly elections will take place on 1st of October, with 40 constituencies heading to the polls. Senior BJP leader and Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a rally in Jammu. Prime Minister recalled the government's strong response to cross-border hostilities, contrasting it with previous Congress government.
आपको याद होगा, आज 28 सितंबर है। साल 2016 में आज की रात 28 सितंबर की रात सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हुई थी। भारत ने दुनिया को बता दिया था, ये नया भारत है, ये घर में घुसकर मारता है।
A total of 272 candidates from major parties like BJP, National Conference, People's Democratic Party and Congress are contesting in this crucial election, the first since abrogation of Article 370 in 2019. The counting of assembly election is set for 8th of October. Campaigning has reached crescendo with assembly polls in Haryana just a few days away. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed a massive public rally in Haryana's Hisar. In a scathing attack at the Congress for insulting Haryana's farmers, Prime Minister Modi highlighted the government's commitment for welfare of the farmers.
सरकार है जो बिना मांगे देश के 10 करोड़ से ज्यादा किसानों को पीएम सम्मान निधि हर वर्ष 6,000 रुपया सीधे उनके बैंक में खाते में जमा करती है, उनके सम्मान की चिंता करती है। और वो लोग 2 रुपये का मुआवजा, क्या हमारे हरियाणा के किसानों का अपमान करते समय आपको शर्म नहीं आई?
The Prime Minister further accused Congress of neglecting the Dalits and backward classes.
कांग्रेस में दलितों और पिछड़ों के लिए दरवाजे एकदम बंद है। कांग्रेस जानती है कि दलित उसको वोट नहीं देता, इसलिए वो पूरे दलित समाज से नफरत करती है। आप खुद देखिए, कांग्रेस के राज में गोहाना में दलितों पर अत्याचार हुआ, कांग्रेस चुप रही। कांग्रेस के राज में मिर्चपुर कांड हुआ, कांग्रेस चुप रही। कांग्रेस के राज में दलित बेटियों के साथ अत्याचार हुआ, अन्याय हुआ, कांग्रेस चुप रही। आज कांग्रेस का शाही परिवार कह रहा है कि दलित और पिछड़ों का अमेरिका में जाकर के बोले वो दलितों पिछड़ों का आरक्षण खत्म कर देंगे।
All right, getting you other stories now. Hezbollah chief Saeed Hassan Nasrallah has been eliminated in an Israeli military strike in Beirut on Friday. The Israeli army released a video on Saturday showing the command center during the operation, featuring top officials discussing the mission. Alongside Nasrallah, other prominent Hezbollah leaders, including Fuad Shukr and Ali Karaki, were also confirmed killed. Nasrallah's death marks a significant setback for Hezbollah and its allies. Rabindra Chauhan reports on this.
Hezbollah chief Sayyid Hassan Nasrallah is dead. Israeli military said that they have killed Nasrallah on Friday's strike in Beirut.
Hassan Nasrallah, the leader of the terrorist army Hezbollah, was killed by Israel Defense Forces in a precise strike in Beirut last night while he was in Hezbollah's central headquarters commanding more imminent attacks against the people of Israel.
This is the video released by the Israeli army on Saturday, showing the command center on the night of the operation against Nasrallah, accompanied by a statement in English stating that Nasrallah had been killed on Friday. The footage featured top officials, including Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and Chief of Staff Herzi Halevi, sitting and discussing the operation. IDF also released video which shows F-151 fighter jets before and after they carried out the airstrike. Hezbollah's Nasrallah is not the only leader who was killed in the operation. The Israeli army said other leading figures from the group have also been eliminated. Among those killed were Hezbollah's top commander Fuad Shukr, who died in an Israeli strike on the southern suburbs of Beirut on July 30th, and another leader, Ali Karaki, who Israel stated was killed alongside Nasrallah on Friday. Nasrallah's death marks a major blow not only to Hezbollah but also its backers. Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, called on Muslims to stand by the people of Lebanon and Hezbollah with whatever means they have and assist them. Yemen's Houthis and Hamas said they mourned Hezbollah leader. Israelis, however, expressed relief after learning of Hezbollah leader's death. Rabindra Chauhan's report for DD India.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu called the killing of Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah a historical turning point that could change the balance of power in West Asia. He, however, warned of challenging days ahead. The Israeli military on Saturday said it had eliminated Nasrallah in the strike on Hezbollah's Central Command headquarters in Beirut. Nasrallah's death is a major blow to both Hezbollah and its backer, Iran.
The state of Israel eliminated the arch-murderer Hassan Nasrallah. He and his people were the architects of the plan to destroy Israel. He was not only operated by Iran, he also frequently operated Iran. The elimination of Nasrallah is a necessary condition in achieving the objectives we have set, returning the residents of North safely to their homes and changing the balance of power in the region for years.
A day after Israel eliminated Hezbollah chief Hassan Nasrallah, Iran has called for a United Nations Security Council meet over Israel's actions in Lebanon and across West Asia. The country strongly warned against any attack on its diplomatic premises and representative in a letter written by its ambassador to the UN. The letter added that Iran will not hesitate to exercise its rights under international law to take every measure in defense of its national and security interests. Now, this comes as reports said that Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei has been moved to a safe location. You're watching DD India Live. We're heading for a short break, but after the break, floods, mudslides, chaos after Hurricane John strikes Mexico for the second time. Trump takes attacks on Harris to a new low, calling her mentally disabled. Rain washes out day 2 of India versus Bangladesh test without a ball being bowled.
geopolitics and trade deals, economic challenges amid development, hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the Economic Brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching DD India Live. Let's continue getting you more international updates. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, in an interview with Fox News aired on Saturday, revealed that former US President Donald Trump pledged support for Ukraine in its war against Russia if re-elected in November. Zelensky, who was in the US for the UN General Assembly, presented his victory plan to Trump during a private meeting, which Trump had expressed interest in as part of the effort to end the conflict. Zelensky emphasized neutrality in US elections, seeking unified support. Trump's stance marks a shift as some Republicans have questioned continued US aid to Ukraine. Meanwhile, Democrats led by President Biden argue that supporting Ukraine is vital to national security. Zelensky aims to secure more weapons and lift restrictions on long-range missiles to defeat Russia. North Korea condemned the US on Sunday for providing $8 billion in military aid to Ukraine, calling it a dangerous mistake that risks nuclear conflict with Russia. Kim Yo-jong, sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, warned that Washington's actions escalate the Ukraine war and push Europe towards the brink of nuclear war. Kim criticized the US and the West for underestimating Russia's nuclear capabilities, warning of severe consequences. Now, this response follows President Biden's announcement of new military support for Ukraine during President Zelensky's visit to Washington, which includes longer-range weapons. In a fiery speech in Wisconsin, Donald Trump launched his most intense attack yet on undocumented immigrants and Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris. Targeting immigrants who have committed violent crimes, Trump labeled them as monsters and vile animals and stood beside banners reading "End Migrant Crime" and "Deport Illegals Now." He also escalated personal insults against Harris, calling her mentally impaired following her recent visit to the US-Mexico border. In a heated race for the 2024 presidency, Trump blamed Harris and President Biden for border failures. A New York Times Siena College poll shows Harris and Trump in a tight contest in key battleground states, including Michigan and Wisconsin, with Harris narrowly leading in Nebraska's 2nd congressional district.
Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way. She was born that way. I had to beat Biden. We were 21 points up after the debate. And then I said, oh, I can't believe it. I think they're going to get him out. And then we had to start all over again with this one. She had a little honeymoon period, but people are now finding out she's not a smart person.
In Madrid, Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez joined a protest on Saturday demanding accountability for Venezuela's disputed presidential election results. Exiled in Spain after threats of arrest, Gonzalez walked among his supporters, waving a Venezuelan flag before leaving without a speech. 2 months after the contested election, Venezuelans in Spain remained outraged, alleging fraud in the vote. According to the opposition, Gonzalez, 75 years of age, secured a landslide victory in the July election, supported by online published vote tallies. However, President Nicolas Maduro has rejected these claims, insisting the results are legitimate and accusing the opposition of plotting to undermine his government. The protest reflects growing unrest among Venezuelan expatriates as political crisis deepens back home. In Caracas, Venezuelan opposition supporters took to the streets on Saturday, demanding transparency and justice 2 months after a contested presidential election. Waving banners that read freedom and carrying photos of political prisoners, protesters accused President Nicolas Maduro's government of rigging the vote that secured his re-election. The disputed results have triggered international demands for the release of full vote tallies as well as a wave of violent protests. Many major storms and hurricanes have hit parts of the world this month, such as Hurricane John. Residents in southwestern region of Mexico on Saturday evacuated from homes flooded by the remnants of Hurricane John that ravaged the Pacific coastline for a week, bringing deadly floods and landslides. The hurricane has left 22 people dead. In Guerrero alone, which was hit the worst by Hurricane John, reported 18 deaths, many due to mudslides that crushed the houses. Hurricane John began dissipating on Friday and is no longer considered an active storm. Guerrero State Governor Evelyn Salgado says that emergency responders are carrying out rescue operations, wading through roads flooded up to waist high and debris as well. The death toll from the passage of powerful Hurricane Helene reached at least 53 on Saturday. Rescuers, hampered by washed-out bridges and debris-strewn roads, continued search for survivors in the devastated regions of several eastern U.S. states. At least 22 people died in South Carolina, 17 in Georgia, 11 in Florida, 2 in North Carolina, and 1 in Virginia, as per reports from local authorities. Helene slammed into Florida late on Thursday as a Category 4 hurricane and surged north, gradually weakening but leaving a path of rare devastation. The National Weather Service says conditions would continue to improve today following the catastrophic flooding over the past 2 days. However, it has warned of possible long-duration power outages. Rain fury continues to wreak havoc in Nepal. Floods and landslides triggered by heavy downpour in the Himalayan country have killed at least 59 people. Rescue teams continue to search for 44 missing people. Parts of Nepal have been inundated due to rainfall since Friday. Authorities have released warnings of flash floods in multiple rivers, and cars and houses near the banks of rivers in the capital Kathmandu were inundated as rivers swelled up with heavy rainfall. Over 3,000 security personnel have been deployed to assist rescue efforts with helicopters and motorboats. Landslides have blocked several highways, leaving hundreds of travelers stranded. SpaceX launched a rescue mission on Saturday to retrieve 2 astronauts, Butch Wilmore and Sunita Williams, who have been stuck at the International Space Station since June after safety concerns grounded their Boeing spacecraft. The mission involves a downsized SpaceX crew sent to bring them home, although their return isn't expected until early next year. The Falcon 9 rocket took off from Cape Canaveral, Florida. It used a new launch pad, the pad's first used for a crewed mission. The astronauts were supposed to be there only for an 8-day stay, but after problems with the Starliner's propulsion system emerged during the flight there, NASA was forced to weigh a radical change in the plans. Under sports, the second day's play was called off in India's second test against Bangladesh without a ball being bowled following intermittent rain in Kanpur city on Saturday. Rain and a wet outfield had allowed only 35 overs of play on Friday, and the start of the second day's play was also delayed by inclement weather. The intermittent rainfall kept the covers on, and the umpires decided to call off play with Bangladesh. The visitors, bidding for a series levelling victory, were 107 for 3 in their first innings. While the weather is likely to improve slightly on Sunday, a draw looms over the contest in view of the time lost due to rain. India, who won the opening test, need a draw to register their record, extending 18th consecutive test series victory on home soil. In a major development, the Board of Control for Cricket in India has announced additional match fee for cricketers playing in the Indian Premier League. In addition to their contracts, a player will now get 100,000 rupees or approximately $9,000 per game as the match fee from the 2025 season. The player retention rules were finalized by the IPL Governing Council during its meeting on Saturday. Each of the 10 IPL franchises can retain up to 6 cricketers with no restriction on nationality ahead of the auction for 2025 edition. The World Anti-Doping Agency WADA has appealed to the Court of Arbitration for Sport against an independent tribunal decision in August to clear world number 1 Yannick Sinner of wrongdoing after he failed drug tests. WADA said that the tribunal's finding of no fault or negligence on Sinner's part was incorrect under the applicable rules, and it would seek a ban for 2 years for the Australian Open and US Open champion. The tribunal, organized by the International Tennis Integrity Agency, had accepted Sinha's explanation that the banned substance entered his system from a member of his support team through massages and sports therapy. The 23-year-old revealed that he found the decision to be unexpected, given the favorable outcomes of the previous hearings. That's it in this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those of you on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. Now, this app is available on both Android and iOS platforms, and you can scan the respective QR codes. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Preeti Kaur signing off, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.